Hello and welcome to my channel. Here I review new movies and television shows and release new videos daily from Monday to Friday. Today I want to talk about the latest installment in the Scream franchise, Scream 6. It comes from directors Matt Bettolini, Open, and Tyler Gillett, and writers James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick. The story is a sequel to the last film and sees us catching up with Sam and Tara Carpenter at college. Tara is attending classes while Sam attends therapy. Things are going well until a new Ghostface killer strikes, leaving Sam's ID behind at the scene of the crime. Sam and Tara take on the new GF with the help of their old friends Chad and Mindy, their new friends Quinn and Ethan, and two legacy characters Gale Weathers and Kirby Reed. To start off, I'm evaluating this film as a standalone product despite it being part of a bigger franchise. The movie doesn't require you to have seen any of the previous films in order to follow along, as it explains the events of prior films in detail. You might, however, get more out of the film if you are familiar with the franchise. The story is a fairly straightforward mystery. It opens by showing the film's formula. A woman is alone in a bar, and a guy calls her on the phone. The guy talks to her on the phone, asking her questions about her personal life, and tricks her into going down an alley where she's promptly murdered by Ghostface. Throughout the film, they continue using this formula for most of the kills, with only two of them not starting with a phone call. It has the effect of deflating all of the suspense. You know exactly when someone is about to die, and the kills are all variations of the same thing. Ghostface appears from behind and stabs the person to death. We get a few new characters, get introduced to them for a bit while Ghostface does his thing, and then the film jumps into whodunit mystery mode. The new characters aren't all that well fleshed out, and most of them are just generic cannon fodder. Their story isn't important, they're just there to die. Half of the dialogue in this film is meta-commentary on the horror genre and the Scream franchise and how they work, and the other half involves the characters' exposition dumping the plot of the previous films. The story is filled with holes. It goes all over the place and has the characters constantly leaving the downed killer alone after besting them, only for them to spring back up and kill again. Characters are shot and stabbed left and right and just completely ignore their injuries seconds later, and one character even comes back from the dead. The film slowly unveils information about the killer, but when all is revealed, their plan is pretty damn stupid, and the killer goes completely mask off and develops an entirely new persona for the last 5 minutes. It's cheesy and you could see it coming a mile away because, as I said earlier, the dialogue lays out the entire plot from start to finish before it actually happens. It lessens every part of the story and makes the film feel incredibly boring. The cast does what they can with the material given, but there isn't much emotion for them to work with, and what is there gets rushed. Most of the B storylines get forgotten about and get less than 5 minutes of screen time total, and the range of emotion is extremely limited. The only emotions expressed are fear and anger, and even those emotions aren't given any time to play out in the scenery. The majority of the screen time goes to Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera, who play Tara and Sam Carpenter. As the protagonists of the story, they spend most of their time running away from Ghostface and reacting to all of the people murdered in front of them. Ortega and Barrera give great shock and fear reactions and do a solid job of the emotions in their roles. No one really stands out for their performance though. There just wasn't enough big moments, and the film never really delves into the personalities and lives of these characters enough to flesh them out. I saw the movie today and I can barely remember the characters' names, let alone any of their performances. Visually, the film follows a basic horror format. It uses standard dramatic lighting to create tense atmospheres, makes heavy use of jump scares and fake outs to get your blood pumping, and has just enough gore to sate your bloodlust. The kills are all very similar in nature, with Ghostface jump scaring their victim and stabbing them to death. At times, it's almost comical how GF appears out of nowhere without a single noise. The visual journey is fairly simple and straightforward, with a few nice shots here and there, but the kills, which should be the highlight of the film, end up being kind of boring. They're repetitive and that repetition ruins the suspense. Sound-wise, the film makes good use of both original and background instrumental tracks to fill out the scenery. Most of the soundtrack consists of tension-building tracks that sit behind the kills and make you jump during the jump scares. It's all well timed, never interferes with the dialogue, and fits well with the atmosphere. The one downside is that it isn't very memorable or significant. It makes the individual scenes better, but never stands out. Overall, Scream 6 is a vapid money grab. It takes the formula of the previous Scream movies, and instead of inserting new characters and ideas, it puts old characters in and has them do meta commentary on the horror genre. The writers clearly think they're more clever than they are, and the lack of story at the heart of this film just confirms it. The story is boring, the action is boring, the characters are boring. Really, it's just a boring film. It doesn't try anything new and blatantly copies the old films without even taking the time to understand what made them interesting. It's well enough produced and acted, but the writing is so awful that I have to recommend you pass on this one. 3 out of 10. And remember, those are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Bye bye.